You know, after seeing this, I can safely say that Candyman's seen better days. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel and another installment in my Candyman review series, where I go over all the Candyman movies in the lead up to my review of the new film. Today we're talking about the third movie, Candyman, Day of the Dead. Before we begin, let me know in the comments what your thoughts on this movie were, if you already saw it or if you are planning on seeing it, and make sure to hit that thumbs up button if you like these reviews, as it helps me out immensely by getting my channel out there. And if you're new here, I hope you consider hitting that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with reviews of new releases, older films, hidden gems, and so much more on a near daily basis. But let's jump right into it and let's talk about Candyman, Day of the Dead. This sees Tony Todd return as the Candyman, who tries to convince his female descendant, an artist named Caroline, played by Donna D'Errico, to join him as a legendary figure. To this end, he frames her for a series of hideous murders of her friends and associates so that she has nowhere else to turn to. This is directed by Tori Meyer, who co-wrote the screenplay, and unlike the other films in this franchise, this is the first and so far only Candyman movie to be released straight to television, at least in the US. And unlike the second film, which received very divided but mainly leaning negative reception, this one is almost universally hated, so much that Tony Todd even admitted it when approached about it a few years later. And yeah, we'll just jump right into it. It's not hard to see why. This one is a mess, to be perfectly honest. It's once again a rehash of the first movie where the Candyman comes in, kills a bunch of people, pins it on someone else, who he then tells they're so important, and that's it. It even lifts an element from the second movie where our main character Caroline is, yet again, another direct descendant of the Candyman, which mostly adds nothing to the story. The Candyman will tell her literally all the exact same lines as he did to Helen in the first movie and Annie in the second movie, but there's just no real substance to it otherwise. We don't feel that connection the way we did with the Candyman and Helen in the first movie. It's just hollow. Mainly because a lot of things in here are just said almost as throwaway lines and are treated as afterthoughts, just to give a one-sentence reason as to why characters do what they do here. And that's the full extent of any character development. People will mention who they're related to or something they looked into or whatever it is, and it's said with such disinterest. It's all just treated so nonchalantly that it felt like no one really cared that much. And it's something you can sense in almost every line of the acting here. Now, I will say, Tony Todd himself was fine for the most part, even though at this point he's just saying the same few things he said in the other two movies. It wasn't him anywhere close to his best, but he still tries to give us something somewhat good. And to be fair, I was entertained whenever he was on screen. Now, even though he's not at his best here, what I will say is he still comes off as incredible compared to nearly everyone else in this film. The acting in this movie, besides Tony Todd himself, is awful. Like, cringeworthy at times. Now, I really try not to go too hard on actors too much because I know it's also due to the direction they were given, but everyone here felt either really flat when just having a conversation, or they sounded incredibly whiny when trying to convey being scared or concerned. Or in the case of any adversarial characters, such as the detectives who wanted to bring Caroline in for murder, they would come off as cartoonish. Honestly, it just felt like a really bad soap opera watching all of them. I mean, the only other one besides Tony Todd who I'd say wasn't so bad was Ernie Hudson Jr. as one of the detectives, who was a little more helpful than some of the other detectives. He doesn't get a ton to do, like he's just running point on crime scenes, he's touching base with characters, but he does play a fairly substantial part, and he was fine compared to what everyone else got to do here. Though otherwise, yeah, the acting's pretty messy from just about everyone else. On top of that, some of the things done here for dramatic effect would sometimes be laughably bad. Like, there's one scene where we get this shaky cam to show as if someone's following Caroline and it looked like someone's home movies. There's another scene where a character's face is slashed and they're in really bad shape, barely able to move on the ground, and another character comes over to them saying, "I need your help," as they're laying there bleeding out on the floor, and it just looks so silly. Like, I burst out laughing at various points, this one included. And it's a shame because, similar to the other movies, when the Candyman's in action here, it's actually kind of fun. Like, it starts venturing into borderline campy territory in the vein of some of the Nightmare on Elm Street sequels with what they do to some of these characters. Like, the way that Candyman will burst onto the scene and would use the bees or his hook in these ridiculous creative ways, like at one point even bursting through a car. They were fun for what they were, and we got enough of those moments where it didn't cause me to hate the movie. I don't like it, but I didn't hate it. Now, even though I don't really like how they shied away so much from the original Candyman lore and explored how tragic of a figure he was and the social commentary that went into his character, I could at least appreciate these ridiculous moments. I just wish that if the film was going to go down such a silly route, that it would at least be consistent about it and go all the way the entire time. Then maybe, at the very least, it wouldn't be so bad. Candyman Day of the Dead is a mess. Similar to the second movie, it's basically a rehash of everything we already got from the first film, but now the acting's a lot worse, there's no real sense of tension, and it would be incredibly cheesy most of the time. Tony Todd does what he can here, and the scenes of the Candyman wreaking havoc were fun enough, but those are only a small part of what winds up being an otherwise total misfire of a movie. Candyman Day of the Dead gets a 3.5 out of 10. So stay tuned, as up next will be my review of the new movie, Candyman 2021. But in the meantime, let me know, did you see Candyman Day of the Dead, or are you planning to see it, and what were your thoughts? Did you like anything about it? Do you have a favorite Tony Todd movie that isn't the Candyman movies? Let me know in the comments below so we can discuss. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it, and for more movie reviews and film discussion, please make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated. Thanks for watching, everyone, and keep having fun with film.